Hi there, this is Jennifer McGuire, and I wanted to just show you some more things about Copic markers with coloring and airbrushing. This is the card we're doing here, but there's also some non-Copic techniques and tips in here, so it may be worth watching even if you don't have Copic markers. So first of all, I wanted to show you how I created that fringe grass. I'm going to use some new scissors. These are from Martha Stewart. I just adore these. I used to cut my own fringe, but this does it for me. I'm kind of out of the picture here, sorry about that, but you'll see it in a minute. You just basically take little snips and it cuts the grass for you quickly. And those are pretty wide pieces, so if you want to leave it as fringe, but instead I'm going back and putting cuts right in between also so that my pieces of grass are even thinner. So you can see that it's becoming more of a fine fringe instead. So you can use it both ways, which I really like about them. This saves me so much time over cutting my own fringe. So they're definitely worth it, and they're nice and sharp too. So you can see how easy it is just to cut some quick fringe and then go back over it and make it thinner. And to make the grass look even more realistic, I like to go back and cut some of the blades shorter. So I'm using my craft tool. This is from Tim Holtz and Tonic. It just slides right out and slides back in very easily. I like this because I can throw it on my desk and not worry about getting stabbed when I'm creating because it tucks right back in. You just pop that top off and you can slide in a replacement blade. This is what the replacement blade looks like. You just pop it right in. It fits right in there. It's very easy to change. I've never really had to change my blade because the way you hold this craft knife keeps you from making it dull quickly. So it's lasted quite a while for me, and I just love this tool. So I'm doing this on a little cutting mat because I'm working on my craft sheet behind that, and the one thing that you can't really do on a craft sheet is use a knife. So that's why I have the cutting mat under it. Now this is the Copic Air Compressor. What you do is you just take your marker, you take that wide edge there, and you pop it right in. You can see it just pops right in, and the air nozzle lines right up with the marker, and you just push this button. So this is attached to a little air compressor. It's very easy to do. They sell it, Copic sells an air compressor, and you can see how it comes out easily. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. It all just attaches easily, and you just push the button. So you can see I'm adding some dimension, some shading with the air compressor onto my grass. So I'm just making the blades a little bit darker. It just makes it pop more. So you can see that dimension you get there. So I'm going to add some more up to the top, and it just gives it a little more life. You know, the air compressor, you can do some great techniques, but what I like is the subtle effects that I'm doing, like on this card here. So I'm putting a lot of adhesive there on the bottom of my Cuddlebugged white piece, and I'm going to add some of the blades of grass over it. That's why I used a lot of adhesive. Usually I don't use a ton of adhesive, but if I'm wanting things like this to hold down, I'll use extra. So I'm just going to start laying this up, and then when I've got that covered, I'll just flip it over and cut the extras off. These are those Tonic scissors that I like that hold up and cut anything and never seem to dull for me. So just cutting off the edges there, and then you can see I've got that strip done. Now one of the things you can do is just kind of curl up the edges of some of these blades of grass with your fingernails. So now I'm going to show you that sky background that you see there with the clouds. I used the air compressor for this too. I'm going to actually take these blades of grass off. That's a nice thing about using the adhesive that I do is that you can peel it right off because I'm working out of order. Sorry about that. But anyways, I've got these little clouds. I actually cut these with my Silhouette, but you could hand cut clouds for this reason too. And I've used these clouds many times. They're just a mask, so I just stick them down temporarily with a little bit of adhesive just to hold them there while I airbrush over them. So I just use these clouds over and over. So I'm taking one of my lighter Copic markers. I think this is probably B00 is my guess, maybe B12. It's BO2, there you go, BO2. Anyways, you just press the button and go right over the area. If you hold the nozzle closer to the paper, you'll get darker color in a smaller area. If you hold it away, you get a bigger spray and it's softer. So I do a little bit of both, and I'm just moving this around so that I can cover this whole top with just using the two masks and moving them around. So this gives a very soft look. You could also just color over this area with a really light marker, but this is faster and gives you just like a cloudy look. So after I've finished doing all this, I'm going to glue my grass back down where it was, and you can see how I've got the airbrush sky. So there's the sky, and now I'm going to show you the flower. I'm going to use these markers here for the flower and the grass. I'm actually going to add R22 into that mix too. So I always scribble to the side there of my paper just to make sure that the colors match the papers that I want to use. And here you're going to see how I do really fast Copic coloring. I'm really just scribbling all over it with my lightest marker. This is R20. Scribbling all over it, getting it really good and saturated. And I'm going to cut this out so I don't care that I'm going outside of the lines. Now this isn't the so-called correct way to use these, but this works for me for quick coloring. So I just thought I'd show you again how I do it. So now I'm taking my second darkest color. This would be R22 and just going out from the center. Now, or that was R32, sorry. Now I'm going with R35 and adding dark color to the center. Now this is taking that lighter color, the medium color, and going back over it again. So basically go light, medium, dark, medium, light. And so by going back, now I'm going back to the light again, it starts to blend all those layers together. So you do light, then medium, then dark, and then medium, and then light. So it goes in and out. So I'm just going back and doing some touch up with my lightest marker, and you can see how it all starts to blend because I've got the paper really saturated with color. And because these are alcohol markers, they won't start to pill up on the paper, which is really one of the best things about Copic. You can keep going over it and over it to get these great effects, and your paper won't pill up. And you got to use some good paper like the Nina paper, which I link to on my blog a lot. You can just visit my blog to get that link, but that really holds up great with Copics too. So now I'm just going to cut this out with my tonic scissors, and I'll be able to add this to my card. So I stamped the image real quickly onto that piece. You can tell it's not stamped well, but it doesn't matter because I'm gluing this over it and lining it back up. I like to add things with pop dots because it just kind of brings the card alive. You can see all the Copic coloring there. You could also have done this with some distress inks and an ink blending tool to get the flower to look like that too. There's lots of different things that you can do to make the flower look bright and alive. Now for this background of the card, I'm using the Hero Arts Hero Hues chalk ink colors, and this is Latte, and I'm using it on one of Hero Arts note cards. So I'm just pressing it right on there to transfer the ink. And I love to use these chalk inks for tone-on-tone backgrounds like this because the color's vibrant, but it also blends to the background to be real subtle. So it's just like this nice added interest to the background, but not too overwhelming. So I'm just going to glue this piece onto here, trying to pick a spot, and then I'll be good to go. So now I wanted to show you how I did this button. If you look at this button, it's kind of orange around the edge. Sometimes you want a button that has a little more interest, but you may not have one right that's just perfect for your card. So I'm taking my YR07 marker, and this button has a ledge, and I'm just rubbing the marker onto the ledge of the button. Now it would have been smarter for me to have a post-it note to hold the button in place instead of me fiddling with it with my fingers, but you could do that at home if you wanted to. So I put the string through this and put glue dots on the back, and now people ask a lot how I get tiny bows. There's no trick to it. There's a lot of people out there who can do great bows. I just tie a bow and then I keep pulling it really small. See, I'm pulling this really small, and then just pull again, and then you'll soon have a tiny little bow, real nice and tight. You can always put a drop of glue on that if you want it to stay. But I don't do anything fancy with my bows. I figure they get messed up in the mail anyways. So now I'm using my corner rounder, my corner chomper, to chomp these. And the nice thing about the corner chomper is you can do this step last because it doesn't mess up whatever's on it. So I'm doing this last to give it a nice rounded edge. Now people ask about glossy accents. You can use it to make something look glossy, but my favorite use for it is to use it as a liquid adhesive. This is what I do when I mail a card. I do a little squirt under all of my embellishments, a tiny little squirt, let it dry, and that button will not come off in the mail. Here's the final card. Lots of fun stuff going on here. If you have any questions, please visit my blog on the March 2nd post. Thanks for watching.